The newspaper crinkled in Mariana Wexler's trembling hands as she sat by the drafty window of her boarding house room in Ash Hollow, Montana. She had read the advertisement 7 times that morning, as if repetition could change the reality of what it said. March winds rattled the panes, carrying with them the bite of snow and the bitter whisper that another harsh winter was waiting to crush her spirit. Widower seeks practical wife for ranch partnership. Must be hardworking, self-sufficient, and prepared for isolation. This is a business arrangement, not a courtship. Previous marriages unsuccessful. Apply only if serious. Financial stability guaranteed. Address reply to J. Caldwell, Silver Creek Ranch, Ironwood County, Montana. Mariana's finger traced the black ink as if the words themselves could anchor her to a future she didn't fully believe in. 28 years old, widowed less than a year, and left with nothing but debts and memories. Nathaniel, her husband, had died when the mine collapsed. He'd left her no children, no savings, and no inheritance beyond an empty bed and a gravestone she couldn't afford to visit. The boarding housekeeper, Mrs. Horatia Miles, had been clear. Rent due Friday, or Mariana's trunk would be tossed into the muddy street. The seamstress jobs she picked up here and there barely paid for supper, and more than poverty gnawed at her. It was the whispers. Ash Hollow had become a cage made of pity. At church, voices hushed the instant she walked in. Widow Wexler, poor Mariana, 28 and washed up. Her sister-in-law Eleanor had even suggested, casually, cruelly, that she might find employment in the establishments by the railroad. The shame burned hotter than the coal stove. She pressed the clipping flat against her knee. She had heard the rumors about mail-order marriages. Some blossomed into homes. Some curdled into nightmares. What struck her about this advertisement wasn't what it promised, but what it didn't. Most men promised devotion, romance, or security. Jonathan Caldwell offered only blunt terms: survival, stability, partnership. Previous marriages unsuccessful. The phrase echoed in her head like a tolling bell. What had happened to those women? Curiosity was a dangerous flame, but Mariana fanned it carefully. At the general store, Mr. Halverson mentioned that he knew traders out of Ironwood County. He leaned over the counter, dropping his voice. Caldwell's got 12,000 acres, herds as far as you can see, and a house worth more than the courthouse. But wives? The first, he said, a slip of a girl named Amelia. Came back east within 6 months, wouldn't speak of it, not a word. Eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. The second, Lydia, local girl, strong as a mule, tougher than most men. Made it 5 months before she banged on her father's door, demanded an annulment, and left for California. The third, Evelyn, came from money, tried to polish Caldwell into a gentleman, lasted 8 weeks. One night she rode off on a borrowed horse in her nightclothes, never came back. Mariana asked for more, but Halverson's face darkened. Some things best left unsaid. All I'll tell you, Caldwell came back from the war a different man. Prison camps break more than bones, they crack a soul. Alone in her room, Mariana weighed her choices. Stay and starve, surrender to Eleanor's vile suggestion, or gamble everything on a man who had already broken 3 wives. Her heart no longer sought love. Nathaniel had been her only kiss, her only dream. He and their stillborn child were buried together in a grave that held what remained of her hope. What she needed now was food, shelter, and maybe, just maybe, a purpose. Her hand steadied as she wrote, Mr. Caldwell, I am 28, widowed with no dependents. I understand this is a business arrangement. I can cook, clean, sew, and manage basic ranch work. I am not seeking romance, only respect and stability. If this suits, I can travel within the week. Respectfully, Mrs. Mariana Wexler. She sealed the envelope and carried it through the cold streets to the post office. Old Mr. Brackett eyed the address. Silver Creek Ranch? You sure about this, Mrs. Wexler? I'm sure, she said, though her stomach twisted. 4 days later, the reply came. Your terms are satisfactory. Enclosed fine train fare to Ironwood Station. Arrive Thursday, March 28th, 2:15 p.m. Someone will meet you. Pack only essentials. Weather unpredictable. J. Caldwell. Inside was a crisp $20 bill, the largest sum she had touched since Nathaniel's death. The handwriting was clean, sharp, efficient. No wasted strokes. That night, Mrs. Miles stood in Mariana's doorway. Child, I've seen desperate women leave on trains like yours. Some came back hollow. Some never came back. There are men broken in ways that make them dangerous. Sometimes dangerous is the only path left. Mariana whispered. The train carved across Montana like an iron serpent, carrying her away from everything she had known. Through the glass, the land grew emptier, wilder. Mountains, rivers, forests untouched by mercy. Passengers asked polite questions, but Mariana kept her story locked inside. By the time the engine screeched into Ironwood Station, only a handful of travelers remained. The platform was almost empty. Freight wagons rumbled, an old couple waved at a boy, and there, leaning against a black horse, stood a man she knew at once. He was tall, broad-shouldered beneath a dark wool coat. His hat brim shadowed his eyes, but his jaw was hard, scarred cheek catching the light. He did not approach. He watched. Mariana stepped down, heart thudding, and crossed the platform. "Mr. Caldwell," she said. His eyes, pale as winter ice, studied her with unnerving focus. He gave one curt nod. "Mrs. Wexler, you came. Did you doubt it? The others did." He strapped her carpetbag to his saddle and motioned toward a smaller bay mare. "You can ride?" "Yes." "Good. 8 miles, roads rough, we'll reach before dark." The ride unfolded in silence, broken only by hooves and wind. The land stretched endless, lonely, like beautiful and brutal all at once. Finally, Silver Creek Ranch revealed itself. The house rose like a Victorian cathedral. 2 stories, porches wrapping around, carved trim gleaming gold in the sinking sun. Barns and corrals sprawled across the valley. Horses stamped in the fields. It was magnificent. "It's impressive," she said. "It's practical," he corrected. 8 rooms, plumbing, kitchen big enough for a crew. Inside, the house was immaculate, but lifeless. No pictures, no rugs, no warmth. It was a house, not a home. "Your room's upstairs. Second door. This is a business arrangement. Your virtue's safe." Her cheeks flushed, relief tangled with humiliation. "Thank you, Mr. Caldwell." "Jonathan," he said. Then, at the stairs, "The others left because they wanted what I can't give. Remember why you're here, and we'll have no quarrel." That night, Mariana lay awake in a vast bed, listening to the groans of a house that felt more like a fortress. Somewhere in the darkness lived a man who had driven 3 wives away. Tomorrow, she would begin trying to survive where they had not. Before I take you further into Mariana's story, let me ask, have you ever stood at a crossroads where every choice felt like danger but standing still felt like death? If you have, tap the like button so I know you're still with me. Because what happens next changes everything. The days unfolded like pages written in unfamiliar ink. Jonathan rose before dawn, left for the barns or pastures, and returned only to eat in silence. He gave her the household ledgers, which she balanced with care. He spoke little, his words clipped, efficient, like his handwriting. The house whispered of the past. Empty hooks where pictures had once hung. Dusty china for 12, never used. A locked door at the far end of the hall, his old room, perhaps, or memories he couldn't bear to face. One Thursday, shouts split the quiet. Hooves thundered, men rushed. They carried in a ranch hand, blood seeping from his leg, bone bent at a terrible angle. "Horse spooked," Jonathan barked. "Threw him against the fence. Legs broke." Mariana moved before thinking, cleared the table, boiled water, tore linen for bandages. She steadied the boy's shoulders while Jonathan snapped the bone into place. The scream shook the rafters, but she held firm, whispering comfort the way her mother once soothed frightened animals. When it was done, Jonathan paused at the door, his face unreadable. "Thank you. That helped." It was the first time he had spoken to her with anything like feeling. 2 weeks later, a storm tore the valley open. Wind shrieked, rain pounded, the barn roof collapsed. Mariana threw on a coat and plunged into the gale. Horses screamed, eyes rolling white. She moved among them, calm voice steady, coaxing them toward shelter. For hours she worked shoulder to shoulder with Jonathan and his men until every animal was safe. Soaked, shivering, she found herself back in the kitchen with him, both dripping onto the floor. "You didn't have to," he said. "Yes, I did. This is my home now, too." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise. Respect. Maybe more. Spring crept into the valley. Fields thawed, rivers swelled. Jonathan confessed the ranch was drowning in debt. 1 bad year, and the bank would claim it. "We need Denver," Mariana said. "Cattle fetch higher there. I'll help." "You?" He looked at her as if she'd lost her senses. "Yes, I know how to talk to people. Let me stand beside you." 3 days later, he agreed. In Denver, they dressed the part. Jonathan in a tailored suit, Mariana in a navy dress with her hair pinned high. They moved among buyers like chess players. At the auction, she whispered hints of exclusivity, scarcity, quality. Jonathan held firm, pulling cattle from sale if bids fell short. Buyers fought each other for Silver Creek stock. By evening, they had saved the ranch. More than that, they had built a reputation. That night, over dinner, Jonathan looked at her differently. Admiration softened into something tender. "I know this started as business," he said, his rough hand covering hers. "But with you, it's become more. Mariana, I want this to be real. I want you." Her throat tightened. "I want that too." The kiss was gentle, the beginning of something deeper than either had expected. Months passed, the ranch prospered, the house bloomed with life, pictures on walls, flowers in vases, laughter at the table. The locked room opened, its ghosts replaced by new memories. One evening, Jonathan and Mariana stood on the porch. Stars glimmered above. "Do you regret it?" he asked softly. "Answering that advertisement?" Mariana thought of the woman who had once sat in a cold boarding room, clutching a clipping like a lifeline. That woman had sought only survival. Instead, she had found love, partnership, and purpose. "Never," she said firmly. "It was the best choice I ever made." He smiled, pulling her close. Mariana Caldwell, the best kind of trouble. The stars bore witness. Paradise wasn't something stumbled upon. It was built, choice by choice, day by day, with hands that carried burdens together. And if you've stayed with Mariana this far, you know her journey was never about fairy tales. It was about survival, resilience, and the courage to build something lasting. If this story struck you, don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow I'll bring you another tale that will grip your heart and refuse to let go.